So you guys know how I love to make a good TBR. Kitty from Spicy Cats Reads has a Discord channel and she created a Kindle reading challenge. So of course I had to do it. This is a bingo board with a lot of different prompts where you are intended to use either books that you have on Kindle already, or I'm going to also be using Kindle Unlimited books because I don't have a tendency to buy Kindle books and just leave them unread. I use KU or I buy them physically or get them from the library. So there are a few things that I actually have on my Kindle left over, but there's also most of these that I'm going to be using from Kindle Unlimited. These are romance-based prompts. I'm going to be filling as many of them with romantasy as possible. The first one is a shifter romance, and I think that this can be any kind of shifter. I'm going to be going with A Curse in the Darkness by Shirley Gray. This is one I had never actually heard of before. I was looking through Kitty's Discord because I was wanting different suggestions, and I found so many good books. It was incredible the things that people were reading. And this one is about a hellhound. Coven trials have claimed many witches, and vanquishing malevolent spirits while hunting a possessed hellhound on a killing spree was more than I bargained for. She's got a domineering hellhound alpha that is shadowing her. He's a little bit more beast than man, which I'm assuming is where the shapeshifter thing comes into play. The tag on Goodreads does have shapeshifters in kind of the top one, so I'm hoping that this is actually shapeshifters. If it's not, we'll find another one for that square. Then we have a paranormal romance, and Maria has been screaming at me to read this. She thinks that I'm going to really enjoy it, so I'm going to go with Burned for Me by Alana Andrews. This one was recently republished and recovered, and I really like the new covers. It's about a detective on her most challenging case, and one of the main challenges for her is a prime, which is a highest ranking magic user and can set anyone and everything on fire. She's kidnapped by a darkly tempting billionaire with equally devastating powers, and she must join forces with him to stay alive. He's after the same target, so he needs her, so we've got like reluctant allies going on. This was published in 2014, but it sounds like a lot of fun, so I'm excited to finally give it a try. Moving on to Vampire, and this should have been significantly easier than it actually was. I recently did a vampire vlog where I read a lot of the vampire books that I was interested in, so I'm glad to finally be able to pick up another one. I'm going to be going with The Vampire's Bargain by Jasmine Walt for this one. It's a vampire witch series, and it's set with celestial magic, deadly alliances, forbidden romances, count me in. We have Kitiana, and she is one of the most powerful witches. She is the only thing that stands sometimes between the kingdom and the vampires, and she is rising to become the world's deadliest vampire hunter. That is until her lover betrays her, sealing her away in a magical prison so he can take her power for himself. Wow. Come on, dude. Not nice. She would normally never ally with a vampire, but now she has to. Another reluctant allies. I've been really enjoying these recently. This is another one that was not on my radar until I started looking for books for this challenge. I found so many good things on my deep dive Google searches. Then we have Out of My Comfort Zone, which is Omegaverse. I have not read an Omegaverse ever. I don't even know that I want to fully Google exactly what Omegaverse is. Do a quick Google. Okay, that is what I thought it is and not as bad as I thought it was. But I had to go seeking some help for this one because, like I said, it's not a genre that I usually read. So I enlisted Claire, and she gave me a couple of suggestions that she thought that I would enjoy, that she thought could be a good introduction into Omegaverse. And she suggested Psycho Shifters by Jasmine Moss. I have actually seen this book pop up around places. It's a male, 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 female, male. It has high spice, which makes me very, very nervous. It says it's slow burn, dark and bloody, yet also humorous. We love an unhealthy coping mechanism. You know what? That sounds great. We're following our main character, and she is a shifter, an elite soldier who transforms into a monster. It doesn't tell what kind of monster. She didn't count on 3 of her 6'5" roommates. They don't think she's strong enough, and she's determined to prove them wrong, but can she survive them finding out her secrets? I really like the cover for this one, and dark and bloody yet also humorous. It sounds like it could be a lot of bantery fun. Then we're moving on to Plain Old Witches, and for this one I'm going to be using Vanquish Gods by C. N. Crawford. This is the second book and I think the final in a duology following the Hallowed Games series. I read the first book and it actually took me by surprise. It's a witch and a witch hunter. There are deadly trials, and it ends with like a rebellion plotline, which again is one of my favorite things. I just thought it was a lot of fun. I really, really liked the trials. They were super fast paced, and I'm curious to see how it continues. I'm hoping the romance does develop a lot more because I felt like it was a little bit underdeveloped in the first book. But I liked the writing, I liked the plot, so I'm excited to see what book 2 entails. Then we have Mermaid, which I got lucky because Claire recently read A Ship of Bones and Teeth by Karina Holly, and I have really liked Karina Holly's writing in the past. I actually read her Sins and Needles series way a long time ago. So I was like, yes, that's immediately what I'm putting on this list. Do I 100% know that this is mermaids? No, but it does say that it is a pirate romance retelling of The Little Mermaid. So we're gonna hope that it has mermaids in it. If it doesn't, I guess I'll be picking something else. But we're following Princess Marin, and 10 years ago she sold her soul to a witch, giving up life underwater, okay, it's mermaids, for the love of a prince on land. She learns that the captain also has a score to settle with the sea witch, and with any luck, she might be able to get her old life back. But Ramsay gets more than he bargained for when he learns who and what she is, and that her appetite for revenge, freedom, and bloodlust rivals his. This just sounds different and fun. I think she really enjoyed it, so I'm excited to pick it up as well. Moving on to Sapphic, and I do not read a lot of Sapphic books, and I read a lot of fantasy with Sapphic romances, but not as much romantasy. So if you guys have suggestions for that, it's actually too hard to find, way too hard to find. Leave them down in the comments for me. But for this one, I'm going to be going with In Love and War by Lizette Marshall. This is a prequel book following a Sapphic couple that sets place around the time of A Court of Blood and Bindings. I really liked A Court of Blood and Bindings and didn't just love the series continuation, so I'm hoping that this will kind of bring me back into enjoying that world. We have Noxie and the Sandra, yes, and they meet in the middle of a battlefield and they don't expect each other to be a worthy opponent. Peace is not an option, and when Noxie is forced to flee, the Sandra chases after her. A cat and mouse game revealing secrets. It sounds like it could be a lot of fun. It is a novella. It's only 91 pages, so it'll be a very quick read, but I'm hoping a really good time. Then we have Demon, Just Demon, and for this one I'm going to be going with Speak of the Demon by Stasia Stark. This is a demon hunter romance. I actually bought a special edition of this because I really liked A Court This Cruel and Lovely by Stasia Stark, and so I was like, okay, I want to read more from her, and it was stunning. I think it was the Aurora Crate edition. If I can find it, I'll leave it up here for you guys. But I really need to read this book. I should have read it before I bought the special edition, but whatever, that's a goal for next year. It says, I hunt demons, I don't work for them. So we have a demon hunter that promised her mother one thing before her mom was murdered. Under no circumstances would she ever go near the high demons. Of course, that's probably not a promise she's going to be able to keep. She's the kind of girl who won't let anything get in the way of her vengeance, not even a control freak who thinks he can ruin her life. The problem, she's ticked off the wrong people, and now she's the one being hunted, and someone is coming after her with everything that they have. She's ready to come out swinging. It sounds like a very stabby female main character, a very strong female main character, which is one of my favorite things. So I'm excited to finally get to this book. I should read it sooner rather than later. Up next, we have a BIPOC author, and I actually found a video for this one that I will leave down in the description box that had a list of BIPOC authors for fantasy romance, and it was so helpful. You guys should absolutely check it out. It was from Happily Ever April, and she suggested on here The Coven of Ruin by T.K. Tucker. It sounded really, really good and has great ratings on Goodreads. It says, the merciless god of war, a healer witch, and the meddlesome thing known as fate. It does have healing magic, but again, sometimes healing magic can work well for me. She is a healer before, but then she was dragged into Olympus for a crime that she did not commit, and she almost died. But then she made a life debt to the god that saved her. The problem is, this is the god that killed all of witch kind centuries before, the god of war, the Witchbane. I think there's a prophecy to this. It is a Greco-Roman myth-inspired slow burn fantasy, so something a little bit different, and I have never heard of this author before, so I'm really excited to give him a try. Then we have Eldritch Creatures, and for this one I also had to enlist help and going to be going with Castle of Nevers and Nightmares by Lena Pekekrick. Every single time I see Eldritch Creatures, because this is also our fantasy prompt, I have to go look it up because I can never remember exactly what it is. But basically it's just like a creature that's different, that inspires fear. So it can even be like elves, but usually it's some kind of creature. This has trials, it is dystopian, it has 6 boogeymen who are out to ruin her life. That sounds incredible. You can obviously see the skull on the front cover there. I think this book is going to be so good if this artwork is any indication. I have really been enjoying Why Choose this year, and so I was excited to see this on the list. However, there were a couple of different ones that I could have chosen for this. I did consider doing one of the Ivy Asher books. I forget exactly what the title is of that one, but I decided to go with The New Gods by Ripley Prosperina, I think is how you say that. I think this is a Greek god-inspired paranormal romance, so it is set in more of an urban fantasy setting. We've got our main character at Oxford University, and she's making a career out of her childhood obsession, which is the stories about gods and the mortals that they treated like toys. She has 5 men that have names right out of Greek mythology: Ares, Hector, Paris, Pollux, and Orestes, and apparently their fates are inexplicably linked. She's discovered an ancient artifact that could do more than just turn the academic world on its head, and these 5 men are the generals, the princes, who have vowed to not let the world descend into chaos once again. I've really kind of vibing with the Greek mythology type thing this year. It sounds good, it sounds different, so it needed to make it on the list. For urban setting, we're going to be going with the one that keeps getting compared to Crescent City, and that is City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. This is about Lauren, and she is just trying to survive as a human in a city that thrives with vampires, werewolves, witches, all of the like. She barely escapes abduction at the hands of the Dark Slayers, which are supernatural bounty hunters, and they're demanding a ransom, Lauren's life, for her best friend's safe return. And she's going to have to enlist the help of Darren, who specializes in tracking down demons and other creatures because other women are starting to disappear and they've got to get to the bottom of it. This is chunky, very, very, very chunky, but it's a book that I've really been wanting to read for a while, so I needed to prioritize it. I needed to put it somewhere to encourage me to pick it up. On the flip side of demons, we have angels, and I had to ask Cassidy for this one because I was like, I think it involves angels, but the synopsis doesn't make it very clear, and she said it did, and that is Nightshade by Carrie Lake. I read Noctadia earlier this year and liked it. I thought the writing was really, really good. I thought the concept was 10 out of 10 incredible. It just dragged on for a little bit too long and went a little too contemporary for me when I was loving the like parasitology of it, but I do want to try more from Carrie Lake. This one is more fantasy leaning. Apparently we have a place called the Nightshade and a girl that spent her entire life investing the inexplicable. She finds this peculiar place, and there she meets a man called Jericho, who is the epitome of everything she's ever been told to fear. He's a raven-winged harbinger, and she's determined to unravel this enigma. His touch is forbidden, even as much as a kiss would be her demise. Giving him what he wants will mean no chance for redemption or escape. The falling may be her only saving grace. I do know that this one does move relatively slowly, but I'm still excited to give this author another chance, and it was perfect to go on this list. Moving on to Werewolf, and this one I might end up changing around a little bit, but I enjoyed Duel with the Vampire Lord so much that I wanted to add another of the Married by Magic series on here somewhere, and so we're going to go with A Dawn with the Wolf Knight by Elise Kova. And in this world, to enter the woods as a human means death. We have a witch, and she has an unlikely encounter and somehow makes herself the desire of the Wolf King. He is determined that he is going to keep her, but we also have Evander, who is a loyal knight in the right hand, and he is her sworn protector on the outside. His plot against the king's brutality at every turn and helping Phelan escape will serve these ends. So I think he's like her bodyguard, but also gonna turn against the king. I don't really know, but the last one did have some like unexpected found family, and things are not always as they seem. So I'm hoping that this one will also do the same. Then we have LGBTQIA+ representation. So anything with this type of rep I think counts. And for this one, I'm going to be going with Escape to the Sea. Claire said this was male, male, female. And honestly, I just love this cover. It's so pretty. It says a job gone wrong, a surprise kidnapping, and three hearts colliding. First, we have a prince, and he was enchanted by a beautiful elf who then vanished into thin air. We have Tomlin, who with the best of intentions accidentally kidnapped a noble. And then we have Sylph, and she arrives just in time to save the day, but now she's face to face with a prince that she can't get out of her head. It sounds like it could be a little quirky, but it also sounds fun. And last but not least, we have a dragon shifter, and I could not go this entire TBR without mentioning Eva Chase. So for this one, we're going to be going with Dragon's Guard, and it is a dragon shifter meets 4 alpha mates. We have our female main character, and on her 21st birthday, she gets kidnapped by, I think it's 4 guys, and she finds out that shifters exist, and oh surprise, she's actually one too. But too bad she can't just get it on with these 4 guys. She actually has someone out for her dragon shifter blood, and they're intent on finishing a massacre that they started years ago. It says, if I can't figure out how to kickstart my powers, my life is about to go down in flames. So it's like the kind of book that's be a spicy good time, and I'm excited to finally pick up something from Eva Chase because all of my friends have been raving about her recently and I really need to read it. Okay, if I'm able to do it, if I'm able to read all of these, I will black out Kitty's Kindle reading challenge. This was so much fun to find books for. I love it when a bingo board or a challenge really challenges me to find authors that maybe I'd never heard of before, books that I wouldn't have normally looked up myself, and I feel like this challenge absolutely did that. There's so many new to me authors on here that I cannot wait to pick up and try. If you guys want to grab your own, I will leave her link to Kitty's channel, but also a link to her Discord down in the description box below because I think that is where you will primarily find this challenge. And you should absolutely check it out, not just for the bingo board, but for all the great recommendations as well. If you just want to let me know that you were here and hanging out, leave me a heart emoji. As always, if you missed any of the future Bookmas videos, the previous one is here on the screen for you guys to check out. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!